Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away.
Greetings and salutations. It is Friday. It is Friday, July the 3rd. And have a long weekend. Yay! So, that means more time to work on kits because I have no life. Pity me, pity me. Anyway, what we've done this morning so far before I turned on the camera was to give the Garthock a nice overall light coat of, this is acrylic, this is craft paint, it is flesh colored. I started doing a little bit of this with brushwork last night and I really liked where it was going, so I cranked up the airbrush and gave it a good dousing this morning for the rest of the kit. What you see is that it has blended these two colors to a much closer range and also got rid of that annoying deep brown that was there. After reviewing the movie again and making some screen caps, this was a lot closer to a flesh color than anything else. Now I'm going to cheat the color of the dirt, of the sand in the arena, because it was just too similar to the body of the Garthock. I don't know who art directed that, but I really would have made it stand out more than it did. So I'm going to cheat the sand color to a more ochre or more yellow to give the Garthock a chance to stand out from it. So what I've done is I put a nice light coat, like I said, and I'm going to let this dry for a bit, and then I'm going to maybe put a flat coat or maybe a satin coat on there, so that when I do some staining or some darkening in the cracks, that I can wipe off the high spots and that color will stay, so I can do some dry brushing on top of it and then go back in and repaint the details. But this is overall much better in color to the final, much closer in color to the final. So, oh, and I also, because the thing vexes me, and I will swear to finish it, also went another round on the Barbarella ship, and I'm ready to do the streaking detail on there. So, almost done on that. We will finish that this weekend, I swear to you. And we will probably finish the Garthock this weekend. If not, we will get very darn close to it. Well, looky what came in the mail today. I have an idea. I think I know what this is. But let's open it up and make sure. If the global priority tells me this may be my Yoda robes. Yay! And if it's so, then they were dead on about the delivery of it. So let me open up this box and pull out the goodies. Okay, what you see here are the robes very loosely fit on. One thing I have determined is that my little fella needs to lose some weight. I did make him a little too chubby. His shoulders look good, which is the thing I was worried about. But in his belly, in his waist, I need to trim some of that back so that I can get the belt on. And I am going to have to end up putting eye hooks in the shoulders so that I can attach the arms. But by the time you roll up all these sleeves and gather up all of the goodies, I think this will fit quite nicely. Got the I've got to put I guess I need a strap of leather to make a necklace out of that. And here is the very nicely finished walking stick that I need to join to his arms or his hands at the same time. I may try to bury magnets in there so to give him a way to hold on to it. But yes, very happy. Now I need to, now that I've got this last bit, I need to finally finish affixing his head to that neck portion. So that may be another job for this weekend, but yay! Glad to finally have my robes in. Thank you to Gina over in England who did this for me. She is on Etsy as Ice Cream Candy. I highly recommend her work. Takes a while to get here, but by gum, it was worth the wait. Okay, now having come back from putting the clear coat and letting that dry, I'm starting to dry brush a combination of tan and rust and mixing it up and kind of patching it on here. And I'm really liking what's happening on this hind leg here. This is kind of very much what I'm going for. It is the highlights have a lighter tone to them, yet all of those shadows and cracks are being left by the darker colors underneath. This is and it's an overall lighter color. This is very much what I'm shooting for. So I'll continue this method on the rest and see how it turns out. And we're getting yet another layer of complexity to the Garthock by use of some grimy black and a dry brush. And I'm just going over these areas that have the blacker part of the body. I am going over that with that grimy black. Something interesting that happens on the hands in particular is that I've noticed some of the screen caps that you have the phenomenon where actually the creases are the lighter color and there is a darker scabby chunk of skin over top of it. So by actually dry brushing on the dark color on top of the light color, I get light in the recesses and dark on top, which is looking quite interesting and quite appropriate to the character. And I really like what's happening in on that shoulder. Let me zoom out on that. Getting some nice color variations. Trying not to overwork it. That's the bane of any type of weathering or dry brushing, is knowing when to stop for a minute or two. And there I've also, you can see where I have put some more of that dark color back into the brow and under the cheeks, trying to work some of that color back in. Okay, the direct effect of trying the robes on Yoda was what I suspected. I needed to trim him down a little bit. I kind of built that in rather make him too big and have to sand it down than to make him too small and have to redo it. So set up the belt sander, and I just belt sanded some more of the wood off and trimmed some of that foam down, make it a little bit more rounded. And the one piece that I was missing when I went through all of the stuff that came is the strap for this flute necklace thing, which is simply a leather strap. I went out and got some boot shoelace, which will take care of that. But I need to put the hooks in for the shoulders, and then the corresponding hooks on the arms, and then I'll be ready to try this again and see what other adjustments might need making. Okay, big news. I am ready to join the jaw and the head. I've got the head mostly roughed in, and I've got the jaw roughed in, and I've got the tongue all painted and everything inside the mouth done that needs to get done before I put the two together. So now I'm going to mix up a little bit of 1 minute epoxy and put these two pieces together so that I can blend the jaw and do all of the teeth the same color at the same time. As you'll see, I'm starting to get some interesting stuff going on the skin. Lots of layers and levels of color coming out. There's a face only a mother could love. And I learned this trick. I've seen it done before, and I decided to do it myself. The tongue I coated with some of the epoxy while I used the epoxy to join the two pieces. I also coated some on the tongue there that I'll leave as a nice glossy finish for the tongue, which has a decidedly purplishly pink cast to it and gives this Garthock some well needed color, since so much of it is brown and bone. So there you go. I put some epoxy sculpt in that last little seam there, and I'll let that set up overnight. Okay, we're getting to the end of Friday evening, and I am dangerously close to overworking this beastie, so I'm going to put it away for the rest of the night. I went back in and pulled out the colors on those straps some more, and muted down the browns. I need to do something to add some contrast back into the belly. I think I've gotten that too bland now. And the head is looking nice and good. Spending a lot of time delineating the teeth and the tusks and the red of the eyes and all of that. I'm dangerously close to overworking that face too, so another reason to step away from it for another day. And when I put it in place with the rest of it, it looks like it's part of the rest of the kit. So that's the important thing, is to make sure all of my coloring matches. So that's it for this evening. Been a very eventful day, especially it being a bonus day, not having to work today because of the holiday. So as a bonus day, it went very well. Took that side trip to Dagobah and put robes on Yoda, and got a lot of work done on the Garthock. So very, very extra-planetary. So we'll pick this up again tomorrow. Well, good morning. It's Saturday, second day of the 3-day weekend. Oh, look, I have a stray pussy kitty. Look at that vicious mountain lion. Anyway, back to the Garthock, and I have to say that I'm enjoying the outside colors on this much better than the inside colors. When in doubt, take it outside and see how it looks in the natural sunlight, or early morning sunlight in this case, and it really shows up the colors better than what I was seeing when I was looking at it on my work table. So it helps me to identify parts that I have yet to finish and parts that I think are done and I should stop working on. For example, I think this whole area is great. I think I'm done with that. I need to work on the haunches more, on the back legs. I'm quite happy with the hands, with the exception of aging up the nails some, like I aged up the tusks here. Happy with the chest, happier with the chest outside than I am when it's on the table, so I'm gonna leave that be. Where I'm weakest now is I need to pay some attention to the feet. All four of them, the nails particularly, but the feet in general. And I need to work on some of this area here that's a little blotchy and not quite as cohesive as this area is. So that's my goal for the day as far as Mr. Garthock. And I think if I applied myself, I could be finished with him this weekend. Need to paint in the detail of his mane and the accents on the belt buckles and such, and this mace and the manacles on the sleeve, on the wrists, need to be done at the same time since they look to be the same material. But yeah, good morning out. Okay, sitting with Yoda overnight, and I kind of came back to him after working on him yesterday, and I'm back to him today, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And what it is I believe his shoulders are too wide still. They're too broad. So I'm going to go back into my underlying structure and sand down some more. Maybe get rid of some of the height on that shoulder. And sand down the sides so that it brings the shoulders in a little bit more. And he's got a healthy appetite. I guess that's where, you know, the maker comes in, but his belly is a little too much, a little too padded there. I like the line of the back, even with the belt on. Now see, here's the pole, so there's not much I can do about that. I like the line of the back, but I think his body is too full, if that makes any sense. I know that if he were a real creature, he would have a full back and sides, but I want to make him look more like the puppet, so I need to take some off of each side of his waist and take some off of his belly. And what I need to do is just basically undress him and take this central piece back to the belt sander like I did yesterday. Okay, it's mid-Saturday afternoon, and I am working on the legs. I found a technique that I think is going to work, so I'm going to apply that through the rest of it. And I'm bouncing around from project to project. I've got the Garthock center stage, but I've also been working on the base for the Garthock, and working on Yoda, giving him a little bit of a diet, slimming him down a bit. So let's check and see where everybody is. Of course, Yoda here in the other room is back into pieces, but I've trimmed him down a little bit more. Let me zoom back out and take some weight off of him, slim his hips down a bit. Now I need to go out and see if I can find some smaller eye hooks so that I can pull his shoulders in. Oh, welcome back. It is Saturday evening and I feel like I'm beat. I feel like I'm beat like a rented mule. I did that thing, you know, that sometimes you do. A friend of mine calls up and says, hey, can you help me move? Well, sure, I can help you for a couple of hours. And boy, that turned into an afternoon of dodging rain and going up and down a flight of stairs with a bunch of boxes and loading up the car and taking it to a storage place that he's going to be temporarily storing all this stuff in. So, glad I had yesterday to work on stuff so that I didn't lose a valuable day of building. So where am I right now? Well, I've got the base firmly attached to the totem. I've got that blended in. Got a coat on the detail work on the Garthock, and I have got Yoda trimmed and slimmed down a little bit more. So I'm going to try, after I have a beer and a bit of a rest, I'm going to try refitting the robes on Yoda and see how that works, and maybe get in the final coat on Garthock, because I am getting this close. You know, when I put the detail painting on the belts and whatnot, that I must be getting close, and I'm in that dangerous realm of close, but am I overworking things? So that's where I'm at now. I think maybe I might get these hands glued on tonight, at least. I may do a round on the fingernails, the claws, and paint those, and then get those attached to the wrists this evening. I'm doing the work on the manacles now, the sleeve bits, and the mace on the tail, and the headpiece, which are all, in my mind at least, a metal. So I'm using all the same colors on that, so I might as well be painting them all at the same time. So, and we're back. It is Sunday, slightly afternoon, and work is narrowing down on Garthock. I'm doing the final touches now, really. By the time you see me pulling out the bronze for the buckles and stuff, we really know we're down into the final hours. And I've got the body outside with another coat of clear on it. Almost ready to finish its last bit of touch-ups. I still have the head and the hands separate, although I think my job for the day is going to be to attach the hands. I want to keep the head separate. Two reasons. One, I still want to do some last touch work on this, so yes, it's a face only a mother could love. Ooh, Dr. Tongue's 3D House of Garthock. Points out there if you know who Dr. Tongue is. Anyway, and also the base. The base, everything is nice and glued down, but I want to do some highlighting on the sand and the base, and that's going to be easier to do without him being glued down to it. But I want to work on the eyes a little bit more now. Those are red eyes with black pupils in them, but I'm going to put a little bit more red in there, orangey red, try to warm them up a little bit, and make myself happy with his face before I attach it. Like I said, the hands I can probably attach today and let them be settling in, because they are mostly done, and I can pack the wrist area with that JB Quick Weld and let these sit in there and fill up the manacle. They're mostly done. Anything else I need to do, I can probably touch up once they're in place. So let's get on with that. And by the way, have not forgotten the Barbarella ship. It's just standing here in stark contrast, because this is all brown, this is all brown and brown and brown. And then I get out the pink, silver, and silver paint, and I need to, I've touched up the silver, made it a little bit more chrome-like. And the nice thing is about working on Garthock is I could touch silver on this, which is my personal nemesis, and then put it aside and let it dry overnight and go play with the Garthock while the silver is drying. Then I come back, I'm not carrying my stupid little fingerprints all through the silver paint. So the last thing I've got to do on this is the weathering. And if I get through Garthock today, I may even finish this up and then it'll be done. And then I think I should be able to finish Garthock either this weekend or the next. And it'll just be down to stuff you don't, not really big changes, not stuff you can jump out at you and say, oh, that's different when you see the videos, because they are slighter, ever more refinements and refinements of colors, which aren't very apparent unless you go back to the original videos to see what they started out like. You'll forgive me the pun about having to hand it to him, but yes, the giant fists of Garthock are now firmly attached to the mighty wrists of Garthock. So, and I had one boo-boo with the tail that I've got to patch. I put too much weight on it and it snapped, so I have to re-glue it and resand that a little bit. But all in all, successful. And now that the hands have been joined to the arms, I can work on them a little bit better without them falling over and flailing and stuff, so I can touch up the nails and do all that kind of stuff. I am happy with the work that's happening underneath where the hands are going, so I can feel free to cover those up. And here's a glimpse of what Garthock will look like with the head attached. The head is only sitting there in place by gravity and a pin, so I'm not going to set him down on his feet. But you get an idea of how the head relates to the big fists, relates to the rest of the body. And I went in and got those pupils taken care of. This is looking quite nice. I think it'll be quite a nice display when it's all said and done. But that won't be said or done today. One last look at Yoda for the weekend. Better. It's coming along better than it was yesterday. The shoulder is still a little too pronounced. Maybe I need to sand those over a little bit more. Remembering, of course, that it will come up like this when the outer robe is on and when he's got his stick, so that will pull the shoulders up a little. But I did take some weight off of his belly, and I did take some hump off of his shoulders, and I did smooth over the tops of those dowels that make up his arms. So I think it's going to be all well and good. Now the side effect of all of that work is that the robe is now kind of long, so I may end up trimming an inch or so off the bottom of that robe, so that his precious little toes can stick out some. But coming along quite nicely, I think, for a side project. And one last look at the Garthock with hands outside, where you can see, now it's not in the bright sun, it's actually being horribly backlit. So let me try to pull it out where you can be in the sun. I think the blending around here came out quite nice, and I'm playing with colors to put in the sand that are of a different hue than the rest of the Garthock, maybe a more yellowish in the sand to contrast with the reddish here and the orangey browns that are going on there, but coming along quite nicely. And we're down to the end of another weekend, and my battery is almost running out, so I'm going to talk real fast so that I can beat it before it runs out. Got a quite lot done, even though I had to take off some time to help a friend move, so the 3-day weekend was not exactly all stars and stripes and liberty for me, but I got that on the face. Oh, look at that kisser. But Garthock, mostly done. Barbarella ship, mostly done. Down to final details, and I'll pick that up next time. So until next week, and I'm looking at the battery gauge going out. Until next week, have fun, go make some models, and see you then. Bye.